Know Your Candidate. Presented by Portland is Possible, broadcasted by XRAY FM. In this segment, we offer a brief background on the visionary candidates that are proudly standing and running for the acclaimed Portland Area City Council. For now, we have a candidate of District 3 that incorporates Montevilla, Belmont, and Hawthorne neighborhoods.
Hi, I'm Daniel Demelo. I'm running for Portland City Council in District 3.
What is the city's role in completing the Green Loop project?
If I remember correctly, we're kind of the driver behind the Green Loop project, right? It's a commitment we've made. We need to continue to focus those resources at PBOT to ensure it gets built. Beyond that, I just really want to underline that I'm in full support of the project.
How do we ensure funding for culture and the arts?
I think the move to ensure that arts and culture funding is directed by a city office is a step in the right direction. I think far too often we've allowed city services to become privatized or otherwise operated by outside groups, and as a result we've seen a lack of accountability, particularly when looking at other issues like homeless services and even just tree planting. So I'd like to see that implementation of getting the arts and culture funding away from the Regional Arts and Culture Council into the city's Office of Arts.
What investments in transportation infrastructure and related projects do you see as the city's highest priority?
So I'm a big wonk for transit. If anything, I'm a little frustrated that the city doesn't have too much of a role when it comes to building our transit infrastructure here in Portland. However, I think there's a lot of really high leverage investments we can make to increase the accessibility and the reliability of the transit we have. That means expanding the bus lanes, expanding bike lanes, expanding the use of signal devices that can anticipate when a bus is coming to an intersection so that we can speed it through that intersection. But above all, the number one reason why Portlanders report that they don't take the bus or they don't take their bike is safety. I think we really need to look at the public safety issues on our buses and our trains and ensure that we have a public safety system that can not just respond to high acuity events, but also is ready to just come to someone and have a conversation.
The central city has become unaffordable for most Portlanders to live and less attractive to work in or visit. Is that a problem? What's your vision for the future of the central city?
So I believe the central city is also where we've built most of the affordable units in the last 10 years. It's still unaffordable at that market rate, I think primarily because we just haven't built enough. We are immediately short 10,000 units of housing across the city. And when we build in the central city, we're able to build upon our existing investments in infrastructure. Right, when we build an apartment building out on 122nd and Burnside, that's bringing in a lot of density in that neighborhood, but it's a place that we're going to have to spend a lot more money on upgrading the transportation, upgrading the sewers, and so on. So I'd like to see the city commit to really reducing all barriers to housing in the central city. That means really a lot of upzoning. That means increasing the floor area ratios. That means reducing, if not eliminating, the system development charges and the fees that we charge developers for providing the solution to our housing crisis. We don't send water bills to firefighters. Why are we sending bills to the people who are providing the housing that is supposed to get rid of our housing supply crisis? It just doesn't make any sense. So I'd like to see the central city. In the central city, we can identify that 10% of lots that are still surface parking, if not totally underutilized. I want to see the city continue to bring subsidies, if not tax breaks, for people doing that conversion of Class C office buildings into housing, and continuing to make sure that we're able to bring more people into the central city here in Portland.
In 30 years, what should Portland be known for?
I believe we are, here in the Willamette Valley, one of the few places in this country that in 50 years will have more rain. And Portlanders might not be so excited to hear about that, but the truth is this is one of the few places in this country that will not become increasingly unlivable. And as a result, I think we have a real obligation to ensure that we have the housing supply to accommodate people who need to move to Portland. I'm a queer man. I have friends who are living in Tennessee or in Alabama who are paying $500 a month for a studio. And the laws that are being put in place in these states across this country are forcing a lot of people to consider where they should live. And there's a lot of people who are having to make that choice between a $500 studio apartment in a place that is absolutely not accepting of them and a $1,500 studio apartment in a place that's accepting but not accessible or affordable. So I'd like to see Portland commit itself to growing so that we can be that place that is safe for people across this country.
Lightning round. What's the last show or performance you saw?
I went to the last Thursday in Alberta. There's a lot of good shows there. I can't remember any particular that I'd like to point out, but I've not been able to go to shows as much as I did before the pandemic. I used to go to a lot of shows here in Portland.
What restaurant or food cart is totally underrated?
It's pretty new, but Dear Sandy on Sandy and 28th is a great coffee shop that has couches. I feel like growing up here, we had a lot more coffee shops with couches, and Dear Sandy's a good coffee shop, but they also have couches, and so I just really want to appreciate that.
Should the President Teddy Roosevelt statue come down?
I would be inclined to say yeah, but on the other hand, I really want to underline that as someone attempting to be a representative of people here in Portland, I am much more inclined to follow what people here in Portland want. And so I would like to point to a power that the City Council has that, as far as I'm aware, has never been exercised, which is that the City Council can obviously put legislation on the ballot that becomes law if voted in, but the City Council can also put just mere questions, just yay or nay, on the ballot. And so with these statues, I know we've put together a couple different groups to be really informed, and I'd like those groups to come out and say whether people should vote for or against putting in these particular statues. But I'd like to see the city use that ballot question power to ensure that we are able to ask questions of all of Portland. It's the best way we can get a really representative understanding of what Portlanders want to see. And so I'd like to see some of those statues be put on the ballot, just a simple yay or nay. And if nay, frankly, why don't we have a park of the removed statues? That's what makes sense to me. But again, I would put it on the ballot.
What events or place in Portland that no longer exists do you wish you could bring back?
I really liked Mi Maramole. They had, I believe it was a $10 beer burrito shot deal. I would go there before every Timbers game. I'm a Timbers Army member. Maybe I really just want to bring back a $10 beer burrito shot deal. But really, I would like to see overall an understanding that we've lost a lot of businesses downtown. And we've lost those businesses because it doesn't make sense to run these businesses when people are afraid to come downtown. And the number of Portlanders, the percentage of Portlanders that feel safe walking in their neighborhoods alone at night has dropped more than 50% in the last 10 years. I think that's unacceptable. If we want these places to come back, if we want vibrancy in our central city, we have to take on the public safety problem. There's just no way around it. We can do festivals downtown, but that just ends up pushing the problem around. We have to ensure we have a public safety system that is not just able to respond to crime, but is able to proactively ensure that we have public order downtown.
So now you know your candidate, or a bit about them. We like to thank the visionary candidates, also like to especially thank all the volunteers and organizations that put this together. We couldn't do this without you. To look at each candidate, be a good Portland citizen, and to be a dashing and informed voter, listen to X-Ray FM to learn about ballots and the new ranked choice voting system. And check out portlandpossible.org.